Welcome back. Tonight, Attorney General Ken Paxton is urging universities across the nation not to discriminate against conservative students in the wake of the Charlie Kirk shooting. He joined a multi-state coalition that sent a letter, part of which you can see here, to dozens of universities across the country, urging them to ensure fairness in the policies. Specifically, they warned that it could be illegal for universities to levy exorbitant fees against conservative groups to allow speakers on campus or provide security for events. They ended the letter saying if any of the attorneys general receive complaints, they will be fully investigated. To go more in depth on the free speech concerns emerging right now, we're joined by political analyst Harvey Kronberg of the Quorum Report. Harvey, it's good to have you back here.
Must be Monday.
Lot to unpack. So as we just mentioned, Attorney General Ken Paxton is urging universities not to discriminate against conservatives. He's also investigating the University of North Texas for allegedly kicking out a student out of class for denouncing Charlie Kirk's murder. What are you hearing about this, and could this have a chilling effect on discussion at public universities?
Oh, I think the air of intimidation and threat is now pervasive in higher education and academia pretty much throughout the country, but particularly here in Texas. When the governor specifically goes on the air and says expel that student, whether for inappropriate speech, right now the inappropriate speech happens to be on the left, it's beyond chilling. It is just downright threatening and intimidation.
Yeah, and speaking of a potential chilling effect, we saw big news last week with the resignation of Texas A&M President Mark Welsh after a lot of political pressure was put on him regarding this video of a professor who was teaching that there are more than two genders in one of her literature courses. What does this say about the state of academic freedom in Texas if a president of a top-notch, one of the biggest universities in Texas, has to step down after political pressure?
What it says is we're destroying the seed corn. Right now, Texas is essentially about importing its intellectual capital from other states. And the more we demean the university system and the more these really irrelevant to education issues take center stage, the fewer high-quality professors are going to want to be here, and frankly, the fewer students that want to pursue higher education are going to be able to feel comfortable in this kind of environment. It does reek of McCarthyism, obviously. That's a hackneyed comparison, but when people are afraid to just simply have a conversation, which is essentially what this was, but blown out of proportion, then pretty much all of academia suffers.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing to point out. People can feel one way or another about the subject, but we should be able to have a discussion about it.
Well, what we're doing is essentially turning the higher education into K-1 through 12 public education, and pretty soon we're going to have a state board of education. I exaggerate, obviously, but curricula are going to be defined by the legislature, which is truly pathetic.
And I think that's a great point because these are adults. They are in college and universities. They are adults, not K through 12 children. I want to turn to, at the national level, Senator Ted Cruz raised some eyebrows last week when he said FCC Chairman Brendan Carr and his threats against ABC on this Jimmy Kimmel situation were, quote, dangerous as hell. And he likened them to the acts of a mafioso. Kind of a strange or kind of maybe surprising criticism for the junior senator to take.
Well, first of all, kudos to Senator Cruz for having said that. Of course, he does have a five-year free ride in the Senate in front of him, so that will long since be forgotten. But in case nobody's noticed, much of the Trump administration is styled after the mafioso, not just with the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, but directing the Attorney General to do prosecutions, being very overt in what has been he's described as the revenge tour. Yeah. And so it's, but hats off to Senator Cruz. Would that there were more Republicans that had the courage to speak out.
To give credit to the senator, it's not the first time he's disagreed with the president. He's also been very outspoken about the tariffs in a very diplomatic way. Mm-hmm. But what does it say, these disagreements between him and Trump?
Well, there's a line that the Republican Party is rapidly approaching right now where it marginalizes itself into being irrelevant or so threatening that independent voters just can't get there. With the midterms coming up, I understand the president trying to rally his base, But in the general election is going to require independent voters. And right now, if you look at any poll, independent voters have essentially abandoned the Republican Party.
That's Harvey Kronberg. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Always a pleasure.